having a bit of a morning with it this morning. Tina and I are trying to get into one of my my Facebook account, the one that I've been telling everybody to get me on, and all of a sudden apparently I can't log in and my password doesn't work, and I'm going through this whole process of just giving up on it, which is basically the entire process of giving up trying to be a success in the world or anything like that. You just have to give up. It's not a real place, you know. If it was a real place and the perfect creation of our Father, everything would work perfectly, but there's a clue in everything. The fact that there's constant issues with communication and all of these sorts of things and problems in the world. And I like in the course where it says problems is what it is that the world's purpose is to keep and offer you solutions just to present more problems again. But the way of the Spirit, of course, is simple. And I reach a point very quickly these days where if something's not simple in my mind, I just let it go. And it's like, that's it, very easy. So anyway, but I thought that's interesting food for a video. You know, interesting thought for a video is about the nature of this place. It's like you have to realize the nature of ego and the domain of ego. So all of consciousness is the domain of ego. Everything outside you that you see with your body's eyes, touch with your hands, smell with your nose, and think about externally to yourself is ego. And it's the symbolic representation of an idea of separation from God. So as soon as you attempt to and I'm not saying you won't be successful, but as soon as you attempt to succeed at something or achieve something here, or make plans or whatever it is in the world, remember that the purpose of the world is to present problems. You know, the ego loves that you would have an idea of having a plan or a dream or something in the world, and then it likes to sabotage all that stuff. Right? So just to keep you engaged, not to prevent you from achieving your goals or solving the problems, because it's got more goals to hold out for you and more problems for you to try and fix, and but just to keep you engaged with it so that your focus is taken off the true nature of life, which is eternal, which is within you. Right? So in the Bible, Jesus says, seek ye first the kingdom, I think it's in Luke, but and then all else will come to you. And I remember reading that when I was a younger man, or actually probably a boy or a teenager. Might have even been, I even went to Sunday school for a couple of Sundays. I didn't really like it, but I remember reading it somewhere anyway when I was very, very young. Seek ye first the kingdom. I didn't know what it meant, of course. Nobody ever really does until you really put some time and effort into opening up these concepts and opening these ideas and trying to sort of, you know, like Jesus says in the New Testament, whoever discovers the meaning of these teachings will find everlasting life. And he kind of leaves it to you to discover the meaning of them for yourself. It's no good if he just tells you what the meaning is, because the process of coming to discover the meaning yourself is actually what it is that brings about the transition in your mind. If you were just to seek the gratification of knowing what those things are without doing the work yourself to discover it, then it has no value to you, and it becomes like anything else in the world and is easily corrupted by the ego. And anyone who's ever had a determined goal that they've pursued, you know, hammer and tong, will know how driven you have to be sometimes to achieve your goals in the face of all the problems and things that seem to show up to try and distract you. Often you'll hear people, successful people in the world will say, don't listen to anyone else, follow your dreams no matter what people say to you about it, how silly they think you are or how unrealistic your dreams. And you just have to do that. You know, salvation is no different. You just have to go for it, do it yourself. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to anyone else like me. I'm only giving you my perspective on it, and my guarantee that it's actually a thing. Salvation is a real thing, and you can pursue it, and you can achieve it and attain it. You can reach eternal life, but the process of doing that is going to be your own undoing and redoing, or unlearning and relearning process, and that'll look like whatever it looks like. If these videos are helpful, that's great. If they're not, that's just as great. You know, everything's always perfect, and you always have to look at it from the point of view that everything's always perfect. So if something seems very difficult and you can't log into your Facebook account, that's perfect too. And you get to the point you realise, hang on, I'm banging my head against the wall again. You know, it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And sometimes you just have to say fuck it and let it all go, and let something else happen that's not of your own making. And in discussing this with Tyna, all of a sudden she pipes up and she says, I'm going to set you up with a whole new Instagram and a whole new everything. But I had to let go for that to happen. You know, I wasn't expecting it and I didn't ask it, but there you go, just as a very simple little example with today's doings. And I'm always very grateful for Tyna. She's an incredible help. So we're going to have a whole new Instagram, probably a whole new Facebook, because I can't get into any of my Facebooks, it seems. And we'll give you the links for those as well. I don't know if I've been hacked or what's happened, but all my passwords don't work. And that's a joy, you know. I'm constantly in joy to be reminded of the futility of trying to get comfortable and succeed in a place that whose only determination is for my death. You know, it's like, yeah, well, I see through it now. But you have to learn that the ego is always against you, right? So you have to learn not to listen to that voice in your head that tries to tell you that it knows the answer or the solution or can come up with a scheme or a plan, and let everything just be miraculous, right? You're learning to be miracle-minded. Through the Course in Miracles, you are learning to be miracle-minded, to live your life in faith. And in the New Testament, he who lives by faith alone, unless a man lives by faith alone, he shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. And the kingdom of heaven, as I often state, is a heavenly state of mind here on earth. Okay, as above, so below. It is heaven on earth, not in the outward picturing of everybody giving each other a hug and aren't we all wonderful. That's never going to be the case. The world will always represent denial. But within the individual and within the associations of the individual with others in that association who have joined in new purpose, we come to the happy realization that the world is not our home. We stop trying to make it our home, and our focus becomes then on representing the universal curriculum, you know, to help others bring their minds to a state of perfect peace as well, so that peace on earth becomes a state of mind which is, I want to say identical to the state of mind in eternity, or the state of eternity, which is a singular state where I am, right? So I am, before Abraham was, I am, right? So I am is when I had my enlightenment, when I found myself back in eternity, I was one with all things as that singular state, part of it, but also all of it at the same time. And I and he in me, and I can't explain that. But when on earth your mind reaches a state of perfect peace, because you've removed the blocks to love's awareness through forgiveness, that perfect peace becomes stabilized, and it automatically locks in place with your higher mind, and boom shanker, you are out of here. Now you can do that incrementally. You can have a holy instant, whether in relationship to another brother in proximity, or just by yourself in a deep meditative effort. You can push up against the veil, and I've talked about this a lot but you can push up against the veil in your own consciousness, up against the limit of your own consciousness. Ramana Maharshi used to teach it as ask who is the questioner, you know, or ask who am I, and you stay there, and that will take you to the place where you can't answer that question in your own consciousness, because ego doesn't have an answer, which is why it attempts to distract you with everything else. And you train your mind not to listen to that ego and not to listen to those alternative answers, and to wait for an experience, and that takes you automatically. It's like allowing yourself to be redirected, or allowing yourself in the Course in Miracles it says your mind already knows which way it needs to go, and this is in relationship to meditation. Your mind already knows which direction to go if you let it, right? But you're the one that has to let it. And that requires a totality of letting go, a total letting go on your behalf. And you can have an experience of light, flashes of light. And people have written to me in the question section and said, I've had flashes of light and experiences of light. And those become incrementally profound in their witness. You know, they sort of accumulate together as an ongoing witness to the nature of the fact that there is something else going on in your mind other than just that incessant burbling of thoughts. And all of that, all of those holy instants, all of those little moments of light, and all of the other phenomena kind of experiences that you might have as you go along, they all lend to that witness and all help to strengthen you up in the face of greater temptation and deeper levels of hopelessness and insanity and anxiety and stuff that you cannot not experience as you go through this process. And I know I've said before, joining a Course in Miracles group, whether you think they're really relevant with the way they teach the Course. I've had people teach this from all sorts of different angles, and some I really gel with and think, yep, that's exactly, you know, and other ones I'm like, are we reading the same book? But I don't want to be judgmental, I don't, but just listen to your heart, listen to what's inside of you, and don't compromise that, even if it seems nice, you know, oh, we have cups of tea here and we have discussion afterwards and we have all this sort of stuff. It's like, just feel it and be true to yourself, all right? Be true to yourself. And don't be surprised that you start to become more happy that the world is not your home, in the face of realizing how ridiculous it is trying to accomplish something here, rather than actually just surrendering and going with the flow. So thank you, Tyna, for setting me up with some new social media accounting, and thank you everyone for the donations. We've had a few good donations in the last couple of days, and it won't take long at all at this rate. I'm still waiting to hear back from Google about confirmation of the account that we're using to take the donations. So hopefully today or tomorrow. I guess over the weekend they don't work like everybody, but anyway, we'll get that sorted as well. But there's money sitting there, so, and we've got some money in the PayPal as well. Maybe Tyna, you can, if you're watching this, I know you are, maybe you can send me a total between the two things, the PayPal and the Google. We might already have enough to get cracking on those booklets. All right. Yep, I love you. Thank you. Just a short one today. I've got stew on the oven, on the stove in there. Dad and I are having stew for lunch. Imaginary stew, imaginary lunch, imaginary Dad and Dave. Love you.